If you are an independent woman and somebody has ever told you, girl, I know you can do it on your own, but could you please shut up and listen? Then you need to keep watching so that you can learn how to be more submissive. Peace and love, family. I am Ocean Yinka, your favorite womb goddess. And if we are meeting for the first time, hi love, come on in. Welcome. Pull up a seat because I know you're going to love it here. If you stumbled across this content, more than likely you are on your own wellness journey and you are looking to tap into your soft girl era, and you have come across the right page. Okay, we talk about everything spirituality, divine femininity, and healing your womb space holistically. So if that is some content that you are interested in, make sure that you hit that subscription button and don't forget to hit the notification bell because we do go live every single night talking about important conversations just like this. If we're not meeting for the first time, y'all already know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button and share button and drop me some purple hearts down in the comments so that we can get into the good graces of the YouTube gods. So today we are talking about submission, the art of submission, if you will. I noticed that a lot of women, especially when we are coming into our healing journey, when we are learning to be more vulnerable, when we're putting down our superwoman cape, we struggle with vulnerability. We struggle with being submissive. And one of my followers, forgive me, girl, for not remembering your name. But about a month ago, I had posted a video about 5 signs that you're too masculine. And in that video, I said that, you struggle with being submissive. So the sister girl, she commented, she was like, I hate that word submissive. I can think for myself. Like, I don't need nobody telling me what to do. I hate that word. And my response to her was, if you struggle with the word submission, if that triggers you, then 10 times out of 10, you're still too masculine and you still have not surrendered to your femininity. So I wanted to do a video on that. So the intention of this video is to help women who are struggling with being submissive, struggling with tapping into their femininity, help them to be more submissive so that you're not only submissive to your partner, so that you can attract healthier relationships, but so that you can be submissive and magnetic all throughout life, all throughout any area of your life, because this works with more than just relationships. Okay, so first things first, when it comes to submission, a lot of us are traumatized by the term submissive, especially as Black women. A lot of us are traumatized by the word submission. And I want to unpack that with you today. Being a woman is hard. Not only do we have to deal with menstruation, fluctuating hormones, and childbirth, but we also have to uphold the social standard of beauty while being underpaid in the work industry and being undermined in the healthcare industry. As we all know, stress causes a lot of trauma in the body, and as women, we carry our stress in our lower chakras. So that's in our hips, our back, and in our wombs. It saddens me to say that the average woman in America is battling with some form of hormonal dysfunction that's hindering her from showing up to the world as the best version of herself. Western culture has us truly believing that our womb space is nothing more than an incubator. This is why they push the agenda of birth control and hysterectomies on us so heavily. I've helped so many women just like you conceive, find their soulmates, rekindle their marriage, and even land their dream careers simply by just using my holistic methods to heal the womb. What if I told you that you didn't have to live on birth control, painkillers, and blood thinners for the rest of your life? And what if I told you this could be your reality in only 90 days? There are over 600,000 hysterectomies performed annually in the US. Don't be the next victim. Go to mysnatchshop.com right now and book a free consultation with me so that we can get you some real healing. But before you go, breathe with me, sis. You got this. So when it comes to being submissive, if you look around any other culture around the world, women are naturally submissive to their counterparts. Women are naturally giving to their counterparts. You know, they naturally listen. They naturally understand that the man is to lead, you know, across the world. That's usually how it goes. Only in America and Black culture in America do we see our women downplaying our men, having no respect for them in leadership, and completely disregarding any opinions that they have about anything. Most cultures, they respect their men as the decision makers. They respect their men as, you know, the provider and who knows best as far as for the unit of the protection of the kingdom that you guys, or the empire that you guys are building. Most cultures understand that the man is to do that, except for when it comes to Black America. Now, the reason why I want to bring that to our attention is not to say that it's not justified for us to feel that way. It's not to say that, you know, it wouldn't behoove you to think for yourself when it comes to our counterparts. But I'm saying that to say, as you are on your wellness journey, as you are trying to heal your trauma, you have to also unlearn a lot of things that you grew up learning, because a lot of things that we were taught as Black women was the complete opposite of what healing is. A lot of things that we were taught were strictly out of survival, were strictly out of, you know, trauma responses to things that we've seen in the past. Our mothers, our grandmothers, you know, having to be single mothers, having to deal with, you know, crazy baby daddies, or, you know, whatever the case is. A lot of things that we do today are a trauma response to that. A lot of things that we were taught were a trauma response to that. And being triggered by the word submission is one of those things. Quick commercial break, you guys. If you are wanting to tap into your inner herbalist, your inner alchemist, I encourage you guys to click the link in my description and register for my Medicine Woman course. So every single Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, I train women and certify them absolutely free to be medicine women. So in this course, I teach you how to run a yoni steaming business. I teach you how to heal holistically, mind, body, and spirit. This is a 4-hour training, and I teach it every single week live, just me live every single week for free. Yes, for free. There's no gimmicks whatsoever. So if you are wanting to have a medicine cabinet that looks just like this, then I encourage you guys to go click the link in my bio right now and register for class, and I'll see you then. Being submissive is simply just being gentle and being obedient for the highest and greatest good of all involved. Not necessarily surrender to anyone, but to be meek, to be gentle, to be soft spoken, and, you know, be able to be light, to be soft. Like that's really what it is. Like, and I want to say I'm using my words carefully, because I don't want you guys to think like being submissive is just like being, you know, like a dumb blonde, and, you know, you're not thinking for yourself, and you're not having your own opinions on things, because again, that is what the trauma response to being submissive is. So I want to give you guys some background as to what I know about being submissive. So some of you may know, but the majority of you don't know, I have been in BDSM for almost 8 years now. I've been in the BDSM community. If you don't know, go Google it. But I've been in the BDSM community for almost 8 years. And when it comes to me being in that community, a lot of people who know me, like, personally, they, especially back before I was healed, you guys. But before then, when, like, people knew that I was in a community, they always thought I was, you know, I was a dominatrix. They always thought that, you know, I was the aggressor, or, you know, I was the person who was inflicting harm and things like that. Everybody always thought that, because I'm a very dominant person by nature. I am very assertive. I'm, you know, all Capricorn, so I'm very straight to the point, very go-getter, always been like that. And everybody just assumed that, you know, I'm always the dominant person in the relationship. What being in BDSM taught me is the art of submission. And there is something so beautiful about being submissive that a lot of women who are still struggling with their wellness, a lot of women who are still trying to tap into their femininity and letting go of things that don't serve them, a lot of you guys are struggling with this one thing. And I believe that submission and vulnerability are something that you can use hand in hand. Most of the time when you struggle with being submissive, you struggle with being vulnerable, because they're literally like the same character trait. So when it comes to being submissive, one thing that it taught me about one thing BDSM taught me about being submissive is that you can literally get whatever you want when you are vulnerable and when you are soft. Like, again, I give this content, I'm making this video for women who actually are wanting to date. If you are out here just thugging it, just, playing by the games, like, playing the games, tricking here and there, like, no judgment whatsoever. If that is the case, then this still would benefit you. But if you're not wanting something long term, then okay, I get it that you wouldn't care to do this, but it still would benefit you to be submissive. It would behoove you to be very submissive no matter what type of dating you are doing. Whether you're dating for marriage, just dating to have fun. If you want the best out of your relationships, whether it's casual, whether it's something serious, whether it's short term or long term, you will benefit from being submissive if you want to not waste your time. So, one of the things that I hear all the time when it comes to being submissive, a lot of women say, I think it varies. You can't be submissive with everybody. You can't listen to everybody. If he's doing this, and this, then I can be submissive for him. And I want to stop you guys right there, because that's childish, for one. That's very childish. And for two, nobody should have that much control over you. Nobody should have that much control over you. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you're saying that your condition of being submissive, your condition of being feminine is based off of someone else, then that person now has control over your behavior. They have control over your actions, and nobody should have that much control of you. So my first rule is stop dating people who make you feel masculine. Stop dating people who make you feel like you have to go into survival mode. If you're with somebody who's not showing you leadership characteristics, they're not showing you that they're patient, they're not showing you that they're charismatic, they're not showing you that they are fun and that they really want to get to know you outside of the bedroom, then don't go for them. Like, a lot of times we overlook very simple things. If you are wanting to be with somebody who is generous, somebody who will take care of you so that you don't have to, be in survival mode, worried about bills, worried about things that you should not have to worry about as a woman, in a relationship, I should say. If you're wanting to date somebody who will give you these things, you're going to have to learn how to be submissive. And being submissive is not, being a yes woman or, just going along with everything he says, because we all know women are always right. we know this. However, when it comes to being submissive, you have to let him know or let him think that he's making decisions. You have to let him feel like a man. You have to let him feel like he's doing something. A lot of you guys have a problem with stroking your man's ego. And yes, there is a thing like, a lot of women like, oh, if you're not my man, I'm not going to do these things. So this breaks down that as well. So y'all, I feel like I'm going to rant about this. So I'm going to try to stay focused. But when it comes to you having this ego, this negative ego, because ego is not always a bad thing, but when you have this negative ego where you feel like you have to get this, and this from this man, and he's not supposed to do anything for, or you're not supposed to do anything for him, you're not supposed to bring anything to the table, you're delusional, for one, and for two, you're going to have a very hard time building relationships, not just long-term relationships, but any type of relationship. If you are somebody who understands how relationships work and understand that relationships are always reciprocal, for them to last, they have to be reciprocal, then you're going to win and you're going to find what you're looking for way faster than somebody who feels entitled to other people, their money. We're still talking about dating here, right? So when it comes to dating somebody and you're focusing on being submissive, or you're trying to learn how to be submissive, it starts with not leading with your accomplishments. So y'all, I really feel like all of these things that I'm saying, like all of the things that I'm saying, I feel like there's gonna be somebody who's like, well, it is all just trauma responses. I don't care what your response is to anything that I say. Everything that's negative, that's negatively attached to anything that I'm saying, understand that you need to unpack that. Understand that it's a trauma response of you not having nobody that you can depend on. You might not have a father figure in your life. You not having good men to see as role models, disciplined men, and you dating men who are trash. Understand that your ideology comes from all of those things. If you happen to be the exception to the rule, then my bad. But for the majority of you, it's a trauma response. So if you feel like, I don't want to, if you feel like you don't want to, that somebody should be doing everything for you and you shouldn't be bringing anything to the table, and if you feel like what you bring to the table has to be money, then you are not tapped into your feminine energy, and it's no way possible for you to be submissive to someone when you have not mastered being feminine. So back to dating people who make you feel masculine, dating people who make you feel like you're in survival mode. Stop doing it. If you guys have not read my ebook, Conscious Dating Checklist, then go get it. The link will be down in the description for how you can get it, but that is the ebook that you should be reading on how to know red flags when you are dating, how to know when, a guy is a dub from before the first date, when you're on the date, and after the date, how to deal with them. So read that. If you see any of these red flags prior to the date, then don't engage in it. But you should never be in a place where somebody is taking you out of character, or somebody is taking you back to a place where you've healed from. Nobody should have that much authority over you. And if they do, then that just lets you know you got more work to do. So when it comes to somebody who is showing you characteristics of them not being the man that you are looking for, whether it be a provider, whether it be somebody who's generous, whether it be somebody who is, charming and things like that, like whatever those qualities are, if you're on a date with somebody, say you're already out on the date, and they're doing things that gives you signs that, hey, they probably, maybe they want to argue about, something that's so minuscule, like they just like to argue, or they're gaslighting you, or they're saying things that, it's a lot of red flags that are out here that a lot of, weird guys give off, like especially understanding that most guys are not experienced with women, so they really don't know what they're doing when it comes to talking to us. So they just say whatever they see on the internet, or they say whatever they feel like we want to hear based off of the internet, but a lot of them don't have much experience with women, so you have to take that into consideration. That's just a rule of thumb. But when it comes to seeing like these red flags, just don't engage in them. Get up and leave the table. I've done this before. Like, get up and leave the table. If you feel like you with somebody who is being a weirdo, they're like, very misogynist, they're just saying a whole bunch of stuff like women belong in the kitchen, and they belong at home, you shouldn't be doing like all this bullshit, this 50s mindset, leave them at the table, leave, go home, go find something else to do, call up somebody else and go hang out with them. Like, call up your homegirl, tell her to meet you there, and y'all leave and go do what y'all gonna do. But start leaving these people where they are. Y'all have to understand that you set the tone. You set the tone. You set the tone, not the other way around. Once somebody has already showed you interest, then you have the leverage here. Don't go out here trying to impress them, but simply just be yourself. And being yourself when you are healing and you are doing better, your submissive self should be your default, not survival. Survival is when you absolutely need it. You should not have to be dating and in survival mode. Something like when a guy asks me out, I always ask, what's my budget? What is my budget? Because I don't want you to go nowhere that you can. I don't want to take you nowhere that you can't afford because you're paying for it. So I want to make sure that it's within your budget, that wherever we want to go, before I choose where we're going, so there's no misunderstanding once we get there that you're paying, because my wallet is going to be at the house. If you don't feel comfortable enough going out with somebody and leaving your wallet at home, stay at home. Do not go out with them. Do stop entertaining red flags. When you know what you want in someone, when you're dating with intention, you're like conscious dating, when you're dating with intention, when you know what you want. Why are we still out here grown as hell? We in our 30s and out here still entertaining red flags, entertaining people that we know we have no interest in past that moment. We in our own bag. We don't need no man for no free meal. We don't need no man for no cute Coach purse or whatever. We can do all those things ourselves. When you are out here dating, you are dating with intention, who you want to build something with. And even if you out here on some casual, something casual, something slight, that's still an intention. You're out here because you want to use this guy to level up. You still would have to learn how to be submissive and give them what they want. One way or another, you still have to learn how to give them what they want to get what you want. This is a very tricky topic because a lot of women feel like, we don't have to be dumb and blind and watering ourselves down to date. And you don't. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, I don't know how to be a dummy. I do not know how to act like I don't know nothing. That's one of my biggest flaws. I do not know how to act like I'm not intelligent. I don't know how to do that. So I don't have no tips for you on that. I do not have no tips for you on that. But one thing I do know is that I am submissive. I do know how to listen. I do, and thank my, sorry y'all, this lightning wanted to roam around messing up my video. But yes, y'all, if one thing I do know how to do is be submissive. So when there are times to have conversations, when I'm saying be submissive, this is just being a gentle and listening. Like learning how to be a good listener is very important when it comes to being submissive. Submissive is simply just listening. Everything does not require your rebuttal. Everything does not require your advice and what you think. Sometimes your man just want to vent. Sometimes he want to just talk about his work day. Because every day you get home, you running off at the mouth about what Shaquana then did to you at the call center. Sometimes he just wanted to decompress. Sometimes he just want to tell you about his day and his frustrations as being a man and whatever being a man in America looks like to him. Sometimes that's what he wants to do. It doesn't require you to talk too much. So listening is a part of being submissive. Also, listening does not necessarily mean you have to agree with him. Y'all can come to a common ground without compromising, or with both of you guys' needs being met. This also goes down to breaking down what is the intention of this conversation. A lot of people have meaningless conversations. So when people, especially people who are important to me, when they're talking about certain things, sometimes I ask, like, when I see the conversation ain't really going nowhere, I'm just like, so what did you want? Did you want advice? Were you just venting? What was the outcome of this? Well, if I'm having a conversation with you and you just like, oh, you want to vent? Okay, cool. Well, I'm not going to say nothing to it because you don't want my opinion. And then they'll be like, okay, well, what do you think? I just wanted to know what you thought. Then I'll give my thoughts. That's how you have intentional conversations. That's how you be submissive to your mans when it's time to have conversations that are not really, you pretty much going, like, it ends up being agreeing to disagree. One thing with two, and this is just because I know that I'm an effective communicator. I do have a degree in communications, in psychology and things like that. So I know how to have, effective conversations, but that is a skill set that a lot of people should study. When it comes to you being an effective communicator, a part of being submissive and being an effective communicator is, for one, when you are talking to your partner, you are expressing yourself. A lot of time we as women, we express ourselves through emotion instead of rising above our emotions and being able to articulate our emotions. That's a part of emotional intelligence. Not only feeling things, but also being able to communicate your feelings effectively and not just lashing out or, oh, well, I showed you this, or I assume this. Your man is not a mind reader. He does not know. Okay. So how do you effectively communicate your emotions without it just seeming like you're emotionally unstable? Learning how to do that is also a part of being submissive, because if you are able to articulate your certain words into a way, articulate your feelings in a way that it does not cause confrontation, in a way that is still gentle, in a way that is actually effective because they hear you and it makes sense to them, because men are more logical. They don't really understand your emotional frustrations, especially when you don't even understand them and you can't even articulate them into words. This is why therapy is very important when you are on a healing journey and you do not know how to communicate effectively. therapy will be the best way because it forces you to put your emotions into words. That is another form of being submissive. I can communicate with you effectively because we're not talking about Mars and Jupiter. We're literally on the same planet, on the same book, on the same page, on the same chapter. Okay? This is how we bring those different worlds together. And again, I'm not saying this as a way to praise men in a way because as if they're doing something so grand, but it is my job to talk to the divine feminine. It's my job to talk to the women. So that's what I am doing. How can you do your part? I don't care about who's teaching them how to do their part. How can you do your part to have better relationships? Because there are plenty of men out here who know how to communicate effectively. There are plenty of men out here who have emotional intelligence and know how to communicate with women on the emotional level, and there are still women who drop the ball because they don't know how to effectively communicate their emotions in a logical way. It's about reciprocity. It's his job to be able to understand feelings, and it's your job to understand logic. So let me teach you how to understand logic. That is a part of being submissive. This is not easy. This is not something that you're gonna wake up doing one day. You definitely, it's a journey. You're gonna learn how to do it over time with practice. That's how you're gonna do it. But how to start is being gentle with yourself. How do you talk to yourself in the morning? How do you talk to yourself all throughout the day? How do you talk to yourself when you make a mistake? How do you talk to yourself when you're disappointed with yourself, when you don't accomplish goals, when you feel like you did something that you've outgrown or that you knew better? How do you communicate with yourself? That's where you want to start, being submissive in that way. Talk to yourself how you would talk to your best friend. Talk to yourself how you would talk to your child. Talk to yourself how you would talk to somebody that you want to encourage to keep going because they are not their mistakes. That's how you want to start communicating with yourself. Being gentle with yourself, being understanding with yourself, being gracious with yourself will teach you how to do those things to other people, because what you give to yourself is what you automatically are going to give to other people who are deserving of this attention. So when I say that, that goes back to the last point, which is not dating men who are not emotionally available, not dating men who have you in survival mode. So once you now have crossed over to that and you're now dating men who are giving you what you desire and who have met your standards, now you want to learn how to manage them, and you'll learn how to manage them by how you manage yourself. Are you nice with yourself? Do you forgive yourself? Do you go through phases and reflect back on your day and say, what could I have done better here? What could I have said better? How could I have done this better so that I could be a better version? The more that you constantly improve on yourself and show grace as you grow, show grace and apologize to yourself when you make mistakes and things like that, the more easy it will be for you to do it with other people. So a part of being submissive is learning how to forgive. And I say this all the time. The reason why it's so easy for me to deal with guys, for guys to deal with me, it's so easy for them to deal with me because I know how to apologize. I know how to admit when I am wrong. I know how to, let me do something to make you feel better because I know I'm wrong. I know how to do all of those things without it being a problem. Most of the time, guys are always like, and we were just having this conversation this weekend. So this weekend I was invited to a dinner party. So I go to a dinner party and it's this guy. It's this guy who was there. His shoe was untied and another sister came up to him and she tied his shoe. I don't think they were together or nothing like that. She was just doing a nice gesture. So she just tied his shoes and it was a big thing. So it was me and my sister at the table at my sister's date. And, the guy, you know how guys are. So they like, yeah, bro, you gotta get them just boosting each other head up. Like, yo, yeah, you got it. You got it like that. And me and the girls, all of us sitting over there laughing to myself, look at these niggas, they over here, stroking each other off, they get off, we gotta boost their ego up just a little bit. Now he think he doing something, boy, sit down. So we all laughing and joking about that, but it's literally just the simple things. I was just in my world, I know of plenty of women who, it's not that big of a deal to tie your shoe. It's not that big of a deal to just do nice things for guys. And when I'm saying nice things, is it does not require you spending money. It does not require you spending money. I please want you to understand that bringing something to the table as a woman should not look like what a man brings to the table. If you are talking to somebody and they just like, what do you bring to the table? And you start naming off accomplishments, you already turning them off, because it just looks like you're trying to play their role. As a man does not give a damn. And I'm talking about, oh man, they do not give a damn about how much money you have. They do not care about your accomplishments. Unfortunately, they just do not. However, that doesn't mean they cannot support you. That doesn't mean they don't want you to be ambitious and have other things going on outside of them. It's just that they're not looking at those qualities as something that makes you wife material. They're not looking at those qualities as something that makes you a good partner, because it's like, as a man, I'm already bringing that to the table. So how are you my counterpartner? How are you helping me? How are we opposites attracting to build more if we're both doing the same roles? It just doesn't make sense. So when it comes to you bringing something to the table, you should be a very nurturing, caring person. That's what being submissive is. When your man is going out to work, even if you have to go to work, even if you have to go do some work yourself, or go and have a busy day as well, did you think about him earlier in that day? Did you send him a text message? Did you send him, a smoothie? Make him a smoothie. Give him something encouraging. Did you send him a devotion to his phone, to start his day off, in the right mindset? Did y'all get up and did you call them to have a prayer call or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, things that can't be bought. That's what a high value woman has. Things that cannot be bought. You cannot buy class. You cannot buy nurture. You cannot buy, empathy. You cannot buy certain things. And as a woman, if you know that you are somebody who's trying to date and you want a serious relationship and you are tired of attracting the same type of people, then you have to understand that it's going to take a different version of you to attract the different version of guys. It's point blank simple. If you think that you are going to attract your whoever you looking for, acting the same way that you act right now, having the same mindset that I don't have to listen to you, you don't have to tell me what to do, I can be a boss, I can do this, I can do that all by myself, I don't need your help for that, all I need you for is companionship, blah blah blah, then you're gonna be single, because nobody date yourself, take yourself out, do all the other stuff, or just go out and find companionship in a dog or in your friends, because you're not gonna find a partner who's not gonna require you to have basic feminine qualities. Not a straight man, and not a man of value. And by value, I mean somebody who is not making you go. And granted, this, I'm not talking to the girlies who don't mind going 50-50. I'm not talking about the girlies who, want to, they want to be the go breadwinner. They want to stay at home dad. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking about the girls out here who understand the power of femininity, who understand that the more nurturing you are, the more receptive you are, the less work you have to do, and the more that you will attract. I'm talking about those girls who want to have a soft life, who want to have a life of ease, a life of leisure, not somebody who's just a stay-at-home mom, because a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. I don't want to be nobody's stay-at-home mom. I want to have a life of leisure. If I stay at home and the children happen to be here, they have nannies. They have a housekeeper. I can do whatever I want to do, because I'm praising my king. I'm praising my man. I'm making sure that his mental is straight. I'm making sure that his spiritual is straight, so that he can continue to pour into me. That is the goal when it comes to being submissive. The more you do for your man that does not require you no money, the more that you give to him that he cannot go buy or find from somebody else, the vibes, the intention, the spiritual protection, and all those other things, like the things that he cannot buy or get from anybody else, that's what makes you stand out. That's what makes you wife material. That's what makes you somebody that a guy has to keep around. Like, that's what makes you stand out, and that's what makes you different, because there's so many women, especially black women, who feel like, I don't need a man for nothing because, you know, my mama did it by herself and my grandma did it by herself, or, you know, I've been doing this and I get all this, so he ain't making as much money as me. Like, it's your mentality, my love. You can have all those things. I am not against boss women being bosses, okay? I want you to get in your own bag. I want you to be dependent. I mean, to be independent. I want you to be able to have all these things that you want, because guess what? That's already half the job. I'm not talking to nobody out here. I wouldn't even have nobody to talk to if I was talking to the broke girls who just want a handout. We ain't on the same side of YouTube. So I'm talking to y'all who are out here bosses. I'm talking to y'all who are out here getting it and grinding on your own. You've already done half the job. You wouldn't be watching this video if you did not want a relationship. You would not be watching this video if you did not want to learn how to choose better. So get out of denial. Like, yes, you can be independent. Yes, you can be a boss and do all these things for yourself. But why have somebody around you and you still have to do those things by yourself? That's coming out of that survival scarcity mindset and moving over to the abundance soft life mindset. That submissiveness is not it's not your enemy. It's not patriarchy. It's not, you know, none of that bullshit that we've attached to the word. Being submissive is simply just listening, being gentle, being receptive, and not being argumentative, not always trying to have a comeback, not always trying to one up the next person, not trying to feel like I'm the smartest or you wrong, you right, whatever. Y'all, we know we right most of the time. Like, we know that. We know that we're right most of the time. But what is it getting you at the end of the day when you are arguing with somebody that you love, or you're trying to build something with somebody, and you're constantly going back and forth about something as small as where to eat for dinner? Like, pick and choose your battles, and let your battles be something more important than something that other than you just getting a one up or you just having to be right. Like, let's just be clear. And even when you are right, learning how to still apologize. A lot of the things that we talk to guys about, like, guys always, it just seems like guys are so miserable in relationships all the time. They just be like, yeah, we gotta apologize for things, even though we right, we gotta apologize. Like, one thing that helps me in my relationships is the fact that all the stuff that that guys be complaining about that y'all do as women, those are the things that I do the complete opposite of. I don't have a problem picking where I want to eat. I don't have a problem apologizing. I don't have a problem with apologizing when I know I'm right, just so we can stop arguing about it because it don't make sense, or, you know, we're not getting nowhere. Like, I don't have a problem doing any of those things because I'm not ego driven, and I know at the end of the day we're wasting time when we can be loving on each other, you know? So take that into consideration. I hope that this is helpful for you guys. If you are on a journey of being more submissive, being more feminine, being more soft, so that you can attract better, y'all, this is not just for relationships, but it's for all things possible. When you handle life with a little bit more care, with a little bit more nurturing, it will do the same thing for you. So I hope that this was helpful. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody who might need to hear it, and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel because there's plenty more videos where this came from. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.